All right, welcome to another Auto Spec Renew video. Today we are meeting finally with Adam at Zero Lab. He's going to tell us everything about this company and those three fantastic trucks you brought to Long Beach.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, so tell us more. How you started the company and where you're going.
Yeah. So I started this company in 2016. I had a 300-person technology company in Los Angeles. We had offices kind of everywhere, and same as last time. I like big problems, and I noticed that there's a huge amount of love for the existing vehicles in the world. Classics are a great example of that, but they have no real future. You know, the new gas engines are better, but you have the same problems. They don't last very long. You see them constantly coming back in and out of shops, even though they're changed. And at the same time, you started seeing the rise of what I would say is this generation of electric vehicles: better cells, better motors, more efficiency, breaking the 100 to 200 mile range. You know, none of this stuff was existing before. So I felt like it was the right time to put the two together and electrify classics, but do it beyond the retrofit way, which has been around for hundreds of years. You know, putting an electric motor on a transmission, but keeping the brakes, the steering, and suspension the way it was. It's just not going to work for modern performance. Those cars are great, but they have a really hard time going faster than 65 miles an hour. Braking speed's rough, balance is rough. So we came up with a whole new way of doing it, which is to apply modern electric vehicle technology, but in the context of classics. So we built an entirely new platform specifically built for classic vehicles. It's balanced correctly, it's rugged, has a big tube steel frame, designed to hold the bigger cars, a replaceable battery, you know, really everything that you would need to modernize it.
Yeah.
Power electric steering, adjustable control, software updates, full CAN, digital, everything. And this way that people who are really excited about classic vehicles don't have to learn the whole conversion process. It's really done for you, done correctly. And that flattens the learning curve quite a bit, but you also get significantly better performance than you would if you did the old techniques. You don't have the weight of a transmission or a differential or a transfer case anymore. Now the power goes directly to the wheels, and it's a significantly better performance. It's actually becoming cheaper to go this way, and our goal is to continue developing the vehicles for a number of really popular classics, and that's kind of where we are now.
So your secret sauce is this fantastic platform. Does it come in different wheelbases?
Yeah, so every one of them is made for a different vehicle. It's not like it's like shoes. You know, you have a very specific size. This one's obviously for a Land Rover, and it also could work for a Defender frame. The Bronco is a little bit smaller. The Defender is a little bit longer. The F250, so they're basically based on the same idea.
Okay.
So you can use the same parts, use the same motor cradles, same engine bays. I would say it took about 3 hours to change the Bronco into a Land Rover, and about 3 hours to do that into an F250.
Okay.
All using the same parts, so there's economies of scale. You don't have to re-engineer it every time, and that helps us make it cheaper and make it faster.
Okay.
As well.
And do you offer the platform as is, or is it a turnkey car that you deliver?
Right now, it's been mostly the cars.
Okay.
And the reason is we didn't just want to take and electrify an old car. We actually wanted to show what a better version of that car would also look like. So, you know, you can have an electric car, but if the doors don't close, it squeaks and rattles, it's faster, but it's not better.
Okay.
And so we re-engineered the vehicle as much as we could from scratch, really, fixing all the stuff about the car that really didn't work in the old days.
Yeah.
So now the doors have flat floors and better use of interior space, and nothing rattles or squeaks. You have better windows. It's power electric, but it still carries all the characteristics of the original car, made with much better materials, and it's more like what you would want it to be if you go back, 35 years ago,
All right.
40 years ago, but adjusted for now.
So let's walk around this series Land Rover first, and then we'll check out the Bronco and the pickup truck. So as you say, it looks like a modern version of what would have been a series back in the 70s. But for instance, there's no joint here. Everything looks modern and fantastic. So let's check out the interior now.
Okay. So we've made a lot of the parts better. As you had pointed out earlier, the fender is not segmented anymore, and the reason really is that they stopped making these parts. COVID happened, a lot of supply chains were shut down, so we just decided to keep making all the parts that were missing and make them better. So the vents are completely new, re-engineered those from scratch. We're still using the existing original hood, but we reinforced the pillars, we remade the frames, using a modern door, so we're able to fit electric windows and electric lock, but still looks like the classic, which is hard to balance that. But it carries all the characteristics of the original one, and it still feels like a series.
Okay, so you have Defender doors on a series front end.
Modified Defender doors.
All right, nice.
So it feels kind of the best of both worlds.
Oh, it smells good.
Yeah.
So everything is billet aluminum and...
Yeah, so they're billet out aluminum. We CNC'd aluminum. We have a special finish which we use, which was modified from handgun metal.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's a very resilient finish. It's more resilient than powder coating, which is prone for UVs and can be scratched easily. And we used to do nickel plating, and that was beautiful, but will rust over time.
Okay.
So we love this because you can beat the hell out of it, and it looks great for years on end. We used a Series 2 interface because it looks better. Honestly, the Defender dashes, as you know, are very plasticky and very unreliable, and they're hard to find. So for consistency's sake and simplicity and really opening it up, we modeled this after a Series 2 center weighted dash.
All right.
And so everything's kind of centralized. We put a center console. We made a digital version of a transfer case, and we do this on all of our cars. So you have your main shifter here, and you have front motor control and rear motor control, and this really acts the same way that a transfer case would, in that it allows you to throttle the motor for high resolution if you want to go slow. You don't want to take an electric car on off-roading and have full motor power because you can just shoot off the top of the mountain. So this allows you to cut it back and throttle it, so you're driving only with one motor or half speed or whatever it is. Same functions as a transfer case, but just without the mechanical weight.
Speaking about motors, can you give us the spec for each motors and then the battery pack, obviously?
Yeah, so these are the last generation of the motors. We're about to upgrade them. These are, each one of them is about 300 horsepower, about 330 newton meters of torque.
Let's cut it here. It's just so talking about the motors. Could you give us the spec about each motors and the battery pack?
Yeah. So for simplicity's sake, we went with the same motor, front and rear. These are so it's dual motor, 3-phase fixed magnet. It has it's a 600 horsepower combined power. We throttle it back a little bit because initially we went with full power in these, and it was terrifying. It was very fun, but terrifying because
still a Land Rover at the end of the day. Yeah,
it's a lot of power, and it's they just weren't meant to go that fast.
Okay,
from a stability perspective. So we went from that to what we would call like a confident yacht setting. You know, like it can get out of there and it can really go fast if you want it to, but it's not like you're worried if you accelerate you're gonna like time travel, appear in a different year or something like that. The motors are traverse mounted, so they're basically transaxles, and this allows us independent motor control, which we saw with the transfer case. We don't use a transmission, and so this is a 400 horsepower system. We are looking at the idea of going 800 horsepower in the next generation because there's a lot of support for that now, as you know, and it will help make it cheaper, charge faster, kind of where the market's going.
While we're here, let's talk about the suspension.
Sure. So these are custom-made independent front and rear suspension. We went through 6 generations of suspension testing to get it right. And the last one, because the lower control arm has a lot of load-bearing functions and the upper has stability functions, getting that combination perfectly on a car like this was tough to do. The suspension is designed to be both for air ride suspension or coilovers.
Nice, okay.
We've been defaulting to coilovers mainly because we're kind of an underfunded company. We've done air ride suspension, and they're beautiful, but they're high maintenance.
Okay.
You know, you can come out one morning and your car is like
it's all the way to the ground. Yeah.
And you got to wake it back up. So this allows it to be consistent. So that way, when we're delivering the car, we don't have to worry about maintenance and things like that.
I like the 6-lug wheels. And do you have your own hubs?
Yeah, we have. We're gonna go with a smaller wheel the next generation.
Okay.
We're trying to get it closer to a 17, and even a 16 because that helps with homologation
and tires selection also.
Exactly. So we've got a big 18s on these, and obviously this one's going to Hawaii.
Nice.
So the problems with that, of course, is import homologation.
Okay.
So by going closer to the original sizes, you increase that.
Okay.
Let's see. Fully redone LED lights. We added trailer hitch. They don't have these, so we added one. This one carries about 2,800 pounds before there's a noticeable difference in performance. And we can tune the motor to be, if you're towing, we know you're a boat guy, we'll make the motor speed. Before that, if you're not going to use it for a bike rack, we'll tune it differently.
So will there be several modes on the dash you could choose from, or do you fine tune for each customer?
Yeah, we're adding a knob on there that allows you to choose your mode.
Okay, perfect.
It's not on there right now. That's just, we're just busy.
Okay.
It's coming, if a customer's seeing this, like, where's mine? Like, we're working on it.
We haven't covered the battery pack.
Yeah, so it is, right now it's a 400 volt system, and it's center weighted, so it's in between the axles, so that's exactly the perfect balance of front and rear. Because we're a startup, we're using the same battery on the Broncos, the Land Rovers, the Defenders, all of them, because it just makes it easier for us.
Of course, yeah.
In the future, like after this stage we're in, we'll be making them for different sizes. Like this should have a 130, 140 watt kilowatt battery in it.
That's a big boy.
That's a big boy, yeah. And that one should have like 150 plus because it's a big truck.
Yeah.
Instead, they're all 100s right now.
Okay.
That's about the maximum weight we can handle with our current suspension setup. And beyond that, it becomes it's too heavy.
Okay. So do you get maybe up to 150 miles range? Or?
It depends on the speed. We've gotten 200.
Nice.
10 out of it. But if you drive it on the highway at full speed, I mean, these things are shaped like
a brake.
Dumpster, turn sideways. I mean, you could get better aerodynamics out of a Tesla turned sideways. Opposing traffic with a sheet of plywood. Yeah. But if you're just driving around town, they're actually quite lovely. Most of the time, if you're driving one of these, it's because you're not trying to break the Nuremberg record.
Of course, yeah. What do we have under the hood?
So we have a fully serviceable engine bay. It's the same one on all of our cars. And the reason we do it this way is because it allows us to remove the body and service the entire platform independent of the body.
Okay.
It also helps our build time. So when we're building one, you can build the platform full suspension, a fully rolling chassis with an engine bay alongside getting your body and interior ready, and then bring the two together at the very end. Or if you need to upgrade the body, it's a lot harder to do it in the traditional way because you have to take everything apart to get
exactly.
For us, we just loosen a few bolts and pull the whole thing off.
You make it sound easy.
It's not easy yet, but it's designed to be easy. So when we're done, you should be able to take a conversion and do it in a day.
Wow, okay.
Because you simply remove the old body and drop it right on top, connect the adapter points, and then make sure all the cooling, but everything else is integrated. It's all the cooling is into itself, all the electrical is basically built into itself. So we'll also be separating the way we do our 12-volt harnesses. Right now they're fully integrated, which means we have control of the whole car with one of our wiring harnesses. There's 3 of them. In the future, we'll just leave the 12-volt as it is.
Okay.
So if you've got a old 12-volt system but it still works, why mess with it?
Yeah.
Leave it. It makes it cheaper, makes it faster.
All right. Before we jump to the Bronco, will you eventually be selling rolling chassis?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So the plan for the chassis is Land Rovers, Defenders, Defender 90s, which are not that different from Broncos.
Yeah.
And then also the Broncos, and then the F series, and then I think we have a Scout.
Okay.
And then a Mustang we're working on too. And then these, of course, when we get the chassis done, there's a lot of guys who do bodies, and so we just want to support that industry a little better, and just being the guys who make them all.
Okay.
So this is it's one of our latest Broncos. It's a full build, same as the others. We want to make sure we do everything natively from scratch. This one, like others, have a fully digital gauge cluster, CNC custom steering wheel, fully flat floors, which is not something you appreciate till it's gone.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit like you've been driving around with a rolled carpet in between your seats, and you take it away and you get so much space back. You don't fully appreciate how much space you get back, but it's something that's only possible with a chassis like ours because we don't use a transmission.
Okay.
This one has a single motor control, which is just simpler.
Okay.
Honestly, fine.
Let's go in the front and check out what's under the hood. So same concept, pretty much,
remarkably similar, and that's not an accident. It's essentially the same engine bay. We adjust where it goes, kind of in each car, so it's consistent for serviceability reasons too. If we have a service tech, everything is in the same place.
Okay.
We always put the relationship of some of the parts are different. The brake boosters are a little bit off. The module is a little bit different, but it's essentially the same relationships, the same parts. The engine bays are obviously a little bit different as well.
Okay.
But generally, something on the right, it's always on the right. It's above this, it's above this. We lay them out the same way for a reason. And same way, you could drop you could drop an old body onto this chassis, and it works perfectly. We've actually done a video where we took a really beat up body that hadn't been. There was a hornet's nest in the glove box, and then we had to drive it with snowboard goggles because there was so much dust and dirt that we couldn't see where we're going. We were laughing the whole time. We dropped it into our chassis, tightened it up, and went racing in the Mojave Desert 24 hours later. And we're giggling because it was too fast. We had full power, and we drove it up the mountains. And so if we can do that with a car like that, what can we do with a car you care about? And that's sort of the theme of it, is let's make what you care about better, and also make it very serviceable for the future. Because you can't just have a thing where you just, like a Tesla or your iPhone, you get a better version of it, and then 5 years later you regret because there's an even better version on the market.
Of course, yeah. What about the suspension on this particular Bronco? Same system, yeah?
Same exact motors, same exact suspension system, same exact control arms, same motor cradles, same steering, everything's the same.
The wheels are the same.
Geometries are different,
yeah.
But in general, that makes it easier, more affordable.
Okay.
You just buy 2 of the same motor for every car, hundreds of the same wheels. We make hundreds of the same control arms.
All right.
And it makes the whole thing work a little better. If we had different versions for different things, it would be unmanageable.
The flush windows look fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, this one just got sealed, but it basically gives you more space, more viewability. It's a little bit more modern, and I think it's more apparent on the carbon fiber ones.
All right.
The glass is even more inset.
Yes. All right.
Under here we have a hidden charge bay, so we always want to hide the fact that you don't know it's electric. So you have this little lever here, and you pull it down.
Wow.
And there's a super secret little charge port. You never want to announce it's electric; it just is.
Okay.
And what's nice about it is most people don't know it's electric until you just happen to sort of speed off with no silence. And you're like, wait a minute. And that's the thrill of it, is you just shock somebody.
Yeah.
Wait, is that electric? Versus writing it on the side and announcing it to the world. Yeah. This just allows
that's fantastic.
So our clients are a little bit, they prefer that sort of
subtle,
constrained elegance, I guess. Like, you don't know how nice it is, and then you're not trying to show off like a guy who drives a Ferrari or a Pagani or something. There's a subtlety in the elegance of these cars, and we want to preserve that by not drawing too much attention to it.
So the platform will always feature CCS1?
This is CCS1 now.
Okay.
We are in the process of getting everything ready for North American charging. This is not ready yet.
All right.
So we're holding on to this, and then it's a simple port change with some software updates. When that happens, we'll upgrade everybody.
And do you anticipate you will upgrade vehicles every other year, or whenever there's a new technology you can upgrade?
Yeah, the battery is removable. All the communication systems are removable. So we know there'll be better body speed rates. We know there'll be better telematics. We have a partner now we're working with to help do full vehicle control, looking for things like places to optimize. There's no hinges switches on a Bronco. You wouldn't know unless it's gone. So it allows these really pretty lines that didn't occur before. Again, you wouldn't know it's there unless we showed you.
And you cannot really see the battery pack either. It's fully enclosed and protected.
It's fully, IP6, flooded. We can, was really protected. And on the next version of it, it'll be a little bit smaller. So there'll be an additional skid plate, rock plate underneath it to help protect it from anything that may happen.
All right.
Same for all of them.
So do you have customers that take their vehicle off-road?
No, not really. I mean, we have people who say that their plan is intention to do those things, but for the most part, when we get the car back and service it, it's been predominantly driven on the road. Maybe some trails, but not like heavy duty rock crawling. We did have one client who brought a car back once, and it was a really incredible carbon fiber car. It was probably $500,000. Everything's the best there is. and we were pulling tumbleweeds and cactus parts out of the suspension. So I think he took that one off road.
Okay.
But for the most part, they don't take it off road. I think we want the ability to.
Yeah. Oh, like this Bronco would be fantastic on the range, for instance. That would be fantastic.
That's what they were made for. I mean, they were farm trucks.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't really, and they had Mustang wheels. You know, 15-inch Mustang wheels. They never had off-road wheels.
Yeah.
So that was something that kind of was invented at the very end. They were called station wagons back then.
Okay.
You know, if that tells you.
So we're talking about the same platform again, same technology, everything. Yeah.
And so here we are again. If this by now looks familiar, it's because it's the same. Now with a large size truck, you have a lot more space in the interior. So we put our HVAC box up front. A lot of the other brake boosters and stuff are right where they should be. General areas are always the same. And the same thing, the chassis are designed to be lowered, or the body lowered onto it, so we can keep it kind of together. But the layout's identical as the other ones. I mean, we try to keep it as close as we can.
All right. But again, the finish of every single part is just fantastic. The wheels are same setup for the wheels again.
Same wheels. Same wheels. Same wheels, same brakes, same suspension. Same control systems, you know.
Nice integration of the logo on the steering wheel.
Yeah, this is so this is a big truck, and so but with the same thing we did on this, we did on the others. You can't really tell, but it's a flat floor.
Oh yeah.
And the significance of that in a pickup truck is massive, because now you can actually use the center space in a way that you never could before.
All right.
We also did a digital gauge cluster. We did so on the Land Rover, we had a digitally controlled analog.
Okay.
On the Bronco, we have a full digital. We created our own computer and our own screens. This one's a hybrid. This is both digital and analog, and the effects are quite convincing. And if you know the originals, it's really fun because it does all the same stuff the originals did, but it's completely digital, which means we have full control over what we do with our programming.
Okay. So if somebody wants a short bed, you can also do a short bed?
Yeah, so this is a 16-foot truck, which is seems like it's a really long car. It's actually 4 inches shorter than a Tesla S.
Okay,
So
all right.
That means an S is bigger than the biggest truck Tesla that's ever made. But it's about 16 feet long. You could go with a shorter bed. You could go with a double cab. I mean, the way that Ford did these is these are modular.
Yeah.
So you can sometimes see this with a shorter bed, or this with a bigger cab and a shorter bed. Same, you know, they use the same chassis over and over for good reason.
All right. Let's conclude with the new technology you'll be bringing soon.
Yeah. So what's next for us is we're going through a Series A funding raise right now. And the reason for that is that basically we have about 77,500 order requests from all over the world, and they all want the same thing. They want a more affordable chassis. They want it to be basically what we're already doing now, but cheaper. So to do that, we have to standardize some things and make it cheaper. And what's good now is a lot of the same technology we're using a couple years ago is actually more affordable. You know, so we're seeing battery costs go down to sub 100 per kilowatt. We're seeing motors are more powerful and smaller now than they were. And so, but our goal right now, a full chassis costs $125,000, which is a lot for most people. Our post-funding will be around between 55 and
all right, so it's changing the game altogether.
It has to be our next step.
Yeah, okay.
We're not here to produce really expensive cars.
Okay.
We're here to prove that there's a market for this and show the best of the technology that is out there. But really, it's the scale that needs to happen, and that is our job. That is, if we don't hit it, you know, then there's no point for us being here.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of people out there who make really beautiful cars. So that'll be an 800-volt system. That'll be much more integrated motors, smaller form factor battery that has more energy density.
And shorter builds also.
Shorter build times. Yeah, and they'll be made. The systems will be made in an automated factory, so we can make them like thousands. So we have a lot of requests from other builders. Well, can I use your chassis to build our cars? And the answer was absolutely. We don't want to build all the cars.
Okay.
We just want to show we can, and we've done a pretty great job at that. But our heart and our passion is really on the convergent technologies, making that platform the one we built for years as affordable as possible and get as many of them in the market as we can. So we even have this is a customer request, but it's a super secret laptop tray. And so it looks like a normal glove box. It folds out, has full charging in here, and a pull-out laptop tray for him to work. And then it tucks back into the sort of traditional space. So a fun kind of small detail. Trash can back here. There's a ton of little details like that.
And a modern head unit also.
Modern head unit, yeah. He wanted this specific unit.
Okay.
He's very brand specific. So we have a cover plate, which doesn't have the graphics on it yet. But yeah. Other than that, there's no real clue that it's an electric truck.
Alright guys, if you like what you saw today, let us know in the comments below, and more importantly, if you want us to come back and drive one of Adam's build, let us know. Also give us a thumbs up, and guys, I'll see you in the next one.